Yes, I'm fine. No after effects. But as I remember now, the water was cold, wasn't it?
What's it gonna resist the temptation? There'll always be more.
You've been very kind, but thanks. I'd rather walk.
In the early days of Hollywood, while there were certainly positives, there were also glaring issues like racism and discrimination that permeated various aspects of society, including entertainment and relationships. Unfortunately, these wrongs often spilled over into the personal lives of individuals, creating barriers and prejudices. For instance, there were instances where white actresses were reportedly prohibited from openly being with their black partners, leading to clandestine measures to maintain these relationships.
What am I doing here? What happened?
A notable example of this dynamic is the encounter between Kim Novak and Sammy Davis Jr. at Chicago's renowned nightclub, Chez Paris, in 1957. Davis, hailed as the greatest entertainer in the world, captivated the audience with his electric performance, drawing attention to his charisma and talent.
She is the kind of girl I need. Well, I got a woman.
As he sang, the spotlight fell on Novak, who had recently completed filming Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo, marking a pivotal moment in her career. Despite the electric chemistry between them, their public appearance together was a rarity, overshadowed by societal norms and prejudices of the time. This piece of gossip wasn't just harmless chatter, it had serious implications. If there was any truth to the rumored affair between Novak and Davis, it could have spelled disaster for both their careers. Back in 1957, interracial marriage was flat out illegal in half the states, and public opinion wasn't exactly progressive either. A Gallup poll from the following year revealed that a mere 4% of Americans were cool with interracial marriage. Plus, the country was still grappling with racial tensions, with landmark events like the Supreme Court's order to desegregate schools and the showdown in Little Rock, Arkansas, looming large on the national stage. For Davis, who had faced backlash for his relationships before, this situation was particularly dicey. Novak wasn't just any woman. She was a bona fide movie star, hailed as one of the hottest draws at the box office, with Columbia Pictures banking on her to fill the shoes of the legendary Rita Hayworth. In the cutthroat world of Hollywood, where reputations and careers hung in the balance, the stakes were sky high. So, when Davis caught wind of the gossip, he did the decent thing and reached out to Novak to smooth things over. After all, the last thing either of them needed was to be caught in the crosshairs of studio politics and public scrutiny. According to Sammy's autobiography, Novak's response was a defiant declaration of independence from studio control. "The studio doesn't own me." In a bold move, she invited him over for a cozy dinner of spaghetti and meatballs, sparking the beginning of their romance. Throughout 1957, despite the risks, Davis and Novak continued their affair, finding excitement in the secrecy and thrill of their forbidden love. "She hadn't thought about me any more than I had thought about her, until it was forbidden," Davis wrote in his autobiography. "Then we became conspirators, drawn together by the single thing we had in common, defiance." Arthur Silber, a close friend of Davis, often played chauffeur, ferrying the couple to a rented beach house in Malibu where they could enjoy moments of privacy away from prying eyes. "It was like we were in the FBI or something," Silber says in an interview. "I would drop him off in front of her house in Beverly Hills, and we would set up a time or a day for me to pick him up." Their efforts to conceal their relationship were elaborate. Davis even resorted to hiding under blankets in the car to avoid being spotted with Novak in public. In December, while Novak returned home to Chicago for the holidays, Davis remained in Las Vegas. However, their longing for each other was so intense that Davis took drastic action, arranging for a replacement for his act and flying overnight to be by her side and meet her parents. Word of Davis's spontaneous visit to Novak's hometown quickly spread, fueling gossip and speculation. Rumors swirled, with some even suggesting that the couple had gone as far as obtaining a marriage license, adding further intrigue to their already controversial relationship. When Harry Cohn got wind of Novak's relationship with Davis, he flew into a rage, seeing it as a threat to his investment in the starlet. The stress and anger proved too much for him, triggering a series of heart attacks that ultimately led to his demise. Known for his ruthless demeanor, Cohn was no stranger to controversy. He held admiration for figures like Mussolini and had murky connections to the Chicago underworld, even sporting matching friendship rings with notorious gangster Johnny Roselli. The details surrounding Cohn's reaction vary, but it's clear that he saw Davis as a problem that needed to be dealt with. In a chilling turn of events, Cohn allegedly sanctioned a mob hit on Davis, with gangster Mickey Cohen delivering the ominous message to Davis's father. The gravity of the situation was not lost on Davis, who received the threat firsthand during a tense phone call witnessed by Silber. They said they would break both of his legs, put out his other eye, and bury him in a hole if he didn't marry a black woman right away, says Silber. He was scared as hell, same as I was. Novak, maintaining that her relationship with Davis was purely platonic, found herself caught in the crossfire as the studio intervened, ordering her to sever ties with Davis and even stationing guards around her home for protection. "And I thought, this is ridiculous. I don't want to live like this," she told Larry King in 2004. "I couldn't see what was wrong, do you know? What was so terrible?" Feeling the walls closing in, Davis sought refuge with his own connections, turning to gangster Sam Giancana for assistance. Despite Giancana's assurance of protection in certain areas, Hollywood remained beyond his reach. Faced with the looming threat, Davis saw marriage as the only solution to safeguard himself. Turning to Lorraine White, a fellow black performer from the Silver Slipper, Davis proposed a sham marriage, offering her a substantial sum to play the role of his wife. Desperate times called for desperate measures, and White agreed to the arrangement, sealing their pact with a marriage certificate and a hefty payout. As for Novak, she seemed to have disappeared during the Sturm und Drang of Davis's sham wedding. After a few months of clandestine meetings, she simply retreated. Her version of the affair is, "It was a very dangerous relationship then. A white woman and a black man, no matter his status. It simply didn't mix publicly. I was suddenly in the eye of a hurricane. My agent told me my career would be over if I continued to see Sammy. Some of my friends wouldn't even return my telephone calls." Novak's biographer, Peter Harry Brown, always felt that it was Cohn who was the villain of the piece.
Be on camera, all by ourselves, without the rest of the band, we're going to sulk, and we can't have them sulk.
Next up is Betty White's story that sheds light on the realities of Hollywood during her time, even though she didn't have a black lover. Her career epitomized playing sweet characters with a hidden and hilarious grit, a quality that resonated throughout her work. This trait was evident from her earliest televised variety show, where she took on the roles of both host and producer, boldly defying racist demands to remove a performer named Duncan simply because he was black. Her response to such discrimination was simple yet powerful: live with it. Remarkably, this incident occurred in 1954, a year marked by significant milestones in the civil rights movement, including the Supreme Court's landmark Brown versus Board of Education decision, which outlawed segregation in public schools. One pivotal aspect of White's show was the inclusion of Duncan, a 21-year-old California native who had been honing his skills as a performer in a dance quartet for years.
Arthur Duncan and Sing You Sinners.
In the 2018 documentary Betty White, First Lady of Television, Duncan recounted how White's support provided him with the breakthrough opportunity he had been seeking, underscoring her commitment to inclusivity and talent recognition. The first TV show I had ever been on, and I credit Betty White for really getting me started in show business, in television, he said. And all through the South, there was this whole ruckus, White remembered in the doc. They were going to take our show off the air if we didn't get rid of Arthur, because he was black. People in the South resented me being on the show, and they wanted me thrown out, Duncan agreed. But there was never a question at all. I said, "I'm sorry, but you know, he stays," she said. "Live with it." Duncan appeared on the show at least 3 times. On another episode, White interviewed a black child during the children's segment. It's unclear whether her decision to keep Duncan affected the show's fate. but it was repeatedly rescheduled for different time slots before quietly being taken off the air that same year. White went on to game shows, the talk show circuit, and eventually mega stardom as Rose Nyland on the 1980s sitcom The Golden Girls. Duncan later toured with Bob Hope and appeared on The Lawrence Welk Show for nearly 2 decades. Decades later in the doc, he was still in awe of her. She was just magnificent, he said.
Well, when I'm good, I'm very good. But when I'm bad, I'm better.
Mae West, renowned for her bold and unapologetic persona as a S symbol, was another figure who defied societal norms, particularly in matters of relationships. Among her various romantic involvements, one notable relationship was with the boxing champion William Jones, known as Gorilla Jones. Jones, a middleweight champion in 1932, had an illustrious career in the ring, winning titles and accolades before retiring in 1940. Their connection began when Jones worked as a chauffeur and bodyguard for West, whom he had known since he was 22. Over time, their professional relationship blossomed into a romantic one, with West providing support and assistance to Jones. She helped him purchase property in Los Angeles and also provided employment for his parents, demonstrating her commitment to their well-being. However, their relationship faced challenges, as exemplified by an incident at West's Ravenswood apartment building where management barred Jones from entering due to his race. In a characteristic display of determination, West took decisive action by purchasing the building and overturning the discriminatory ban, ensuring that Jones could access the premises without hindrance. Despite the hurdles they encountered, West remained a steadfast friend and supporter of Jones until her passing in 1980. Their bond transcended societal expectations and stood as a testament to West's unwavering principles of equality and justice.
You can stop and let me out any time now.
Where I go, you go.
Inger Stevens, a captivating beauty born in Stockholm, seemed to have it all, an ascending career in both film and television. However, her untimely death on April 30th, 1970, at the age of 35, underscored the harsh reality that fame and fortune do not guarantee happiness in Hollywood. What emerged as a shock after her passing was the revelation of her marriage to Ike Jones, a black actor which had been kept secret during her lifetime due to fears that it would jeopardize her career. Although separated by the time of her death, Ike Jones claimed they had been married since 1961. While doubts arose regarding the lack of a marriage license and the couple's separate residences and tax filings, Inger's brother, Carl O. Stensland, confirmed in court that she had indeed hidden her marriage to Jones out of concern for her career. This was further validated when Superior Court Commissioner A. Edward Nichols ruled in Ike Jones's favor, appointing him as the administrator of her estate. Evidence of their relationship, such as a photo of the couple attending a banquet together in 1968 and records suggesting their marriage in Tijuana, Mexico, supported the truth behind their union. Unfortunately, concealing her marriage to a black man wasn't the only hardship Stevens faced in her life. Rumors swirled that her depression stemmed from a failed relationship with Bing Crosby. It was speculated that Crosby ended their romance upon discovering her past involvement with a black man, leaving Stevens heartbroken. The pain of Crosby marrying someone else allegedly exacerbated her emotional turmoil, ultimately leading to her tragic decision to take her own life.
I wanna be loved by you, just you, nobody else.
Lastly, we have Marilyn Monroe. For years, speculation has surrounded Marilyn Monroe's romantic entanglements, particularly regarding her relationships with African-American men. Rumors suggest that she engaged in a romantic affair with Sammy Davis Jr. between 1954 and 1955. Additionally, in 1951, Monroe reportedly dated Leslie N. Shaw, a classmate from an art class at UCLA Renaissance, who later became California's first black postmaster general. Monroe's alleged involvement with black men extended beyond Hollywood circles. It's said that she frequented New York jazz clubs, where she was spotted with unidentified dates. In one instance, she defiantly insisted on staying at a club despite the manager's concerns, declaring, "If he goes, I go." This clandestine behavior was commonplace during a time when interracial relationships were taboo, and celebrities often kept such matters private to avoid backlash. Moreover, Monroe's compassion extended beyond her personal life. She reportedly visited African American orphans, a gesture that was uncommon among white celebrities of the era. This demonstrates her willingness to defy societal norms and embrace those marginalized by racial prejudice. One of Monroe's most notable friendships was with jazz singer Ella Fitzgerald, defying the racial barriers of the time. Their bond served as a testament to Monroe's progressive views and willingness to challenge the status quo. When once asked about her favorite singers, Marilyn Monroe answered, "Well, my very favorite person, and I love her as a person as well as a singer, I think she's the greatest, and that's Ella Fitzgerald." Not only was Monroe a Fitzgerald fan, but she was also a friend who used her status as a Hollywood star to boost Fitzgerald's career. By the 1950s, Fitzgerald's enthralling singing voice had won her fans across the country. But the venues that hired her were often smaller clubs. Some places weren't interested in having an overweight black woman perform for them, no matter her talent. Fitzgerald reportedly once told her press agent, "I know I make a lot of money at the jazz clubs I play, but I sure wish I could play at one of those fancy places." Monroe had spent hours listening to Fitzgerald's recordings. A music coach had recommended this to improve the star's own singing. In November 1954, she got to see Fitzgerald perform in Los Angeles. The two were soon friends, so when Monroe learned of Fitzgerald's inability to get a gig at the Macambo, a famous LA nightclub, she decided to help. Dorothy Dandridge and Eartha Kitt had already performed at the Macambo, so Fitzgerald wouldn't have been the first African American to sing there. But the club's owner felt the heavy-set Fitzgerald lacked the glamour to draw crowds. So Monroe approached him with a proposition. If he booked Fitzgerald, she promised to sit at the front of the house every night and to bring along other celebrities. Monroe made clear the amount of publicity this would garner, so the club owner agreed to hire Fitzgerald for a couple of weeks in March 1955. During Fitzgerald's run, Monroe kept her word to sit up front, and Frank Sinatra and Judy Garland showed up on opening night. However, such celebrity firepower wasn't that necessary. Fitzgerald's shows sold out, and the owner even added a week to her contract. This successful engagement changed Fitzgerald's career trajectory. She later told Ms. Magazine, "After that, I never had to play a small jazz club again." Their friendship would last until Monroe's untimely death. And even after Monroe had died, Fitzgerald remained grateful for the support the star had provided during her lifetime. It's unfortunate that many white actresses of Monroe's era were forced to navigate their romantic lives in secrecy or sacrifice love due to racial discrimination. However, it's heartening to see progress in the entertainment industry, with a growing acceptance of interracial relationships in today's Hollywood. This shift reflects society's evolving attitudes towards diversity and inclusion. That's it for today. Until next time, bye.